Joining me now, William Blair's head of Energy and Power Technologies Group, Jed Dorsheimer, who downgraded shares to market perform from outperform on July 7th. Jed, what do you need to hear from Elon Musk on this earnings call that would make you feel better about changing that call to downgrade?
Well, I think, Liz, there's really two different investor bases that are having a tug of war between retail and institutional. And on the institutional side, it really comes down to one metric, which is going to be gross margin. And the street estimates are 16.5% for that gross margin. We're a bit below it, 15.4. Now, our concerns are going to be around the big beautiful bill and the reduction of fines for the CAFE standards, which ostensibly makes those tax credits, renders them worthless, really. And that was 2.8 billion, which plays into the profitability. So I think in the very near term here, but those don't expire until the end of September. So in the near term here, you might actually get better deliveries, and you're not going to see profits fall away in the very near term, which probably benefits more of the retail investor here. And, any talk, like you mentioned, around robotaxi expanding from Austin into potentially Las Vegas or LA, all of that will be seen as a positive and represents the vast majority of the value, I think, in Tesla shares right now.
Let's talk about the EV tax credit, which had been
Sure.
$7,500. So if you bought one, you got that back. Now that's going away, as you said. So it becomes completely null and void. And Elon had been very upset about that. He acted like it was fine. Oh, listen, as long as everybody else is being held to the same standard, then we'll be okay. But then when it came down to brass tacks, he really fought President Trump and said, this is horrible, it's an embarrassment, it's a terrible deal. He came out on the losing end of that. Do you think that in the current quarter, that would then, or do we have to wait, I guess? No, it would be the current quarter because of September, although it's September 30th, isn't it? So it's really the fourth quarter where we'll start to see the rubber meet the road on how much in losses they will see.
That's correct. Well, you really have two different sets of tax credits that are expiring. So you have the $7,500, which is going to be a demand headwind because all of a sudden the vehicles, all EVs, will actually be $7,500 more expensive. Or you might see Tesla use their profitability to, which will hit the gross margin, to keep the demand numbers higher. The bigger issue is on the tax credits behind the scenes that get sold to other auto manufacturers that are falling behind on EVs in order to meet the CAFE standards.
Right.
That's also gone away. And that's a much bigger number in terms of, and that was actually the catalyst that caused us to take a more cautious stance in the near term. Because while we're certainly bullish on the opportunity for robotaxi, we think that Tesla has a significant advantage compared to its Waymo peer from a cost structure perspective.
Wow.
That's going to take a little bit to get off the ground to be material to offset, these near-term headwinds in the core business, which is valued less than perhaps some of these forward opportunities.
Jed, how much do you think he's going to push Optimus, his humanoid robots, almost says, well, don't look at our problems on the Tesla car side. Here's a shiny object of these robots, because he really kind of was throwing out some out of this world in different orbit profits and revenues that he thinks would come from them. And how close do you think you are? And do you really care that much? Because how do you monetize these at this early stage?
I actually want to buy one. If we own a farm and there's a bunch of chores on the farm that I could certainly see a robot doing and get an ROI on that. But, aside from my personal interest, I've followed Elon for 15 years. I've met with him several times. And, there's a cliche not to bet against him because, with his focus squarely on the business now, he's one of the great innovators of our time. So to answer your question, I think he's going to push hard on the robotics, on robotaxi. I agree with that vision. I just wonder whether or not, investors will have the patience to go along. And that's kind of the bet, here right now.
And Jed, last question. He's got so many companies, including SpaceX, XAI, Twitter, now X. Do you think, are you of the group that is feeling that he's going to merge all of these companies together into one? And what are the opportunities there for him to do that?
Well, I don't know. He has said publicly that he does not want to absorb XAI into Tesla. However, what is going to be put to a shareholder vote is a investment, and that'll happen in November. So I think that will probably set the stage. Probably premature at this point in time to talk about or speculate about.
What about SpaceX? Do you think he finally takes that public? It's got a massive valuation, and they put out a filing that said, be careful. One of the risks is that Elon could probably go back into politics and be a little diverted from his attention span with SpaceX.
I mean, I really don't have an opinion on that at this stage, and it would be, I wouldn't want to speculate on that. So
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Jed, you are sure that for the moment you have downgraded the stock. We'll see what you do after this conference call and see if there are any changes. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. William Blair's Jed Dorsheimer.